Hello everyone, welcome to Culture and Society A. My name is Edward Sarich and I will be the lecturer for this course. In this course we will be looking at how the demands of European history influence the development of music. So part of the class we will be looking at European history, and then the other part of the class we will talk about how music developed in connection with that history. So today's class will be an on-demand lesson. So please make sure you've downloaded the course outline that I sent over Manaba, and if you could open it now and look at it, I would like to explain some things about how the course will be run. So as I said, this is a lecture course on European music history from the 5th century AD until about the 18th century. The class will be taught entirely in English, and you will be asked to write down what you see and hear in your notebook. So please have a notebook ready for this class for next week. I will be checking your notebooks as part of your final evaluation. So basically you come to class, you listen to me lecture, I will be giving you, and then you will be writing down what you hear in your notebooks, and then as part of the class I will give you time to do some English activities which will give you a chance to understand the lecture content better in small groups. So I'll give you some, it's kind of similar to some of the other classes that I taught, so I just want to confirm your understanding. And during these pair work activities, so one of the purposes of the pair work activities is to get you to practice English. You can speak English with each other, but also to understand the content of the lecture. I should warn you that at first many students have trouble listening to me speak and writing at the same time, and they complain that they said, I can't hear what you're saying when I'm writing, but I do that on purpose because I think it's a really good chance. First of all, it's the way that I studied at university. Even as a native speaker, you have to write down things quickly, but it is a really good skill to learn to listen and to learn to understand and write things down. So I could photocopy my lecture notes and give them to you, but I find that students don't work as hard. So I think this is a good system to develop your listening skill. So please don't give up. At first it's going to be hard, but almost all of the students get better after a few lessons. All right, and so as I said, there's pair work activities that I'd like you to kind of do in English and to work hard at. There's also comment papers at the end of class. So they will be done over Manaba. So at the end of class, if you have any questions, if there are things that you don't understand, or, for example, if you say, hey, Ted, you're speaking too loud, too fast, or you go through the slides too quickly, or I didn't understand about the sonata, could you explain that to me? So the comment papers are part of your evaluation, for one thing, but also it gives me a chance to answer questions individually. So some students are like, oh, I really like this song. Do you know any other songs like it? Or hey, Ted, I didn't really understand the difference between a sonata and a fugue. Could you explain that to me again? So please complete the comment papers at the end of every class. There's a record of your comment papers on Manaba. And so, at the end of the year, when I'm evaluating the course, I can go through all of your comment papers. So write as much as you can. You can write in English or Japanese. English is better, but you can write in either English or Japanese when you write the comment papers. Okay, next week's class will be Monday, October 11th in second period, and it will be held face-to-face in room 280. So please have your notebooks ready for next class. Okay? Now I will begin the lecture. After the lecture has been completed, I'd like you to make sure, I'd like you to take notes if you can right now during the course of the lecture. And then next week, when we meet in room 280, I would like you to, I'll give you a short test to see how much you understood of today's lesson. So right now I'm going to start the lecture, so please get out a piece of paper and start writing notes out so that you can understand. And you can now, one of the good things about recording this lesson is that you will have a chance to listen to it twice if there's anything that you don't understand. As I said, from week 2, our lessons will be face-to-face in SUAC in room 280. And again, if you have any questions about the video or anything else, please contact me by email at suacted at gmail.com. Oh, one other thing before I start the lecture is there are several listening examples that we are going to be having in class. Not this week, but later. And so I would really like for you to, in class, we don't have time to listen for very long to the listening examples, but all of the listening examples are on YouTube, and they can be accessed at the SUAC English site. So if you go to Global Studies at the SUAC English site, and you can see Global Culture and Society A, and you can see the different musical examples. So it's a really good chance where you have to listen to it, because on the midterm and final, I will be testing you on if you can recognize the listening examples. All right, I'm going to start the lecture now, so please get ready to take notes. Now, all right, to begin, I would like you to think of a song that you like. It can be any song. Just think of something and maybe write down in your notebook the song that you like. And then I would like, after you think of a song, I'd like you to think more deeply about it. Who is singing the song? What are the instruments of the song? And why do you like the song? And you might say, well, I like the song because it's cool, but I want you to think a little bit more deeply than that. I want you to think, because the rhythm is good, or because it makes me happy, or something like that. So when you start thinking, maybe pause the video and complete these, and then when you're done, we'll move on. Or just start the video again and we can continue. All right, so when you think about, why you like the song, I think it makes you think. I think we have this unconscious liking of a song, but what I want to do in this course is to kind of maybe more consciously get you to think about why you like something, why something is good, or what the purpose of it was. For example, maybe you like dancing, so you chose a fast song. Or maybe you like romantic, romance movies, so you like romantic music. What is romantic music? Or maybe you like rap music, hip-hop music, because you like the lyrics. So, you probably like music for many different reasons. And that's what we're going to try to explore in this class, is about the function of music and the purpose for which it serves. So in this lecture, we're going to talk about, a basic understanding of what rhythm is, a basic understanding of what melody is, and then a basic understanding of harmony. And hopefully, once we understand these three concepts, we'll have a better understanding of music, and we'll be able to talk more about the development of music from early history. So music is a language, and I think what I'm going to do, or try to do today, is to teach you the words of that language, okay? Rhythm, melody, harmony. Maybe there's some words that you don't understand, that by understanding them, it'll give you a better understanding of music in general. Okay, rhythm. So there are several parts to rhythm. Beat is what's referred to as a steady repeating pulse. It's the basic unit of time. So it's what pushes the music forward in time. Okay, so let's have a look here. What kind of instruments make beats? Can you guess? Think about it. Well, drums, percussion, they make beats. You can hear it, and it drives the music forward. But there are different kinds of beats, okay? But in general, drums make beats. So what kind of music do you think has strong beats in it? Well, there are many possibilities. Just think about it. Maybe pause the video and try to come up with some answers. Don't just wait for the answers. When I ask you a question, pause and think and make a memo, and then you can start again. You can start the video again to look for the answer. But don't just wait for the answer. Try to think of the answer first. So for example, if you think about African music, or dance music, or military music, all of this music has strong beats. Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think this kind of music has strong beats? Well, again, pause. Why do you think African music, or dance music, or military music has a strong beat? Well, all of these things have in common are they're doing something together. In African music, you often see people dancing together in coordination. Dance music, people dancing together. They have to dance together. And military music, you often see soldiers marching together. So whatever you're singing or dancing or marching, it's good to have a strong beat so that people can play together at the same time. So you can see here how the function of music really has, or the purpose of music really has an effect on what kind of music is played. For example, soft music or sad music is usually slow, and music to give you energy is usually fast. So what this is talking about is the speed of music, what's called tempo. Tempo. Okay? For example, slow tempo would be an Italian word called adagio. There's many of these terms, but these are just 3 examples. Andante would be slow but faster than adagio, and allegro is a quick and lively tempo. So lots of composers in European history, they would put markings on their music to tell people how fast they wanted the music to be played. Let's go back to that original song that you chose. Was it fast or slow? Okay, why do you think? What do you think the speed of music tells you about the song? Or the tempo of music tells you about the song? Well, fast songs are often lively, and slow songs are often serious. Not always, but that's often the case. Okay, lively songs want to give you energy or help you dance. Slow songs, often they're songs with deep meanings in the lyrics are slow so that you can hear them. Where fast songs, the meaning of the lyrics is not as important. Okay, now we're going to talk about what's called meter. And meter, the definition of meter are the rhythmic patterns that push the music forward. Now, it's not only sound that has, beats, but silence has beats. These are called rests. Okay, so some notes have sound, and some points in music have silence. Silence is as important as actually sound is. So you can see, like, this is a whole note, a half note, a quarter note, an eighth note. Okay, so you can see this is a score, and there are 4 beats in a measure, and the quarter note is the bass note in most music. Or in 4/4 music anyways. So this would be clapped as 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you move on, and these are eighth notes, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because these are eighth notes, they're twice as fast. And if you look here, if you put a rest in, 1, rest. 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. The rests have a beat as well. Okay, now we're not going to be, normally in class I have the students clap this, but it's just a chance for you to kind of understand. Now most music is in 4/4 or 3/4 or some variation of that. So if we look over here, you can see over here with the arrow it says 4/4. That's what's called the time signature. That tells you how many beats are in each measure. So, for example, instead of 4/4, if you look over to the right, you can have 3/4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or we can mix notes together like quarter notes and eighth notes. If we go to example 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So can you clap this? Okay, pause the video and try to clap this rhythm. Okay? And then I'll clap it for you. Okay? Okay, pause. Okay, how did you do? Did you practice? How was it? So let's do it together, okay? So I'll count 4 first, and then we'll clap it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, there was 2 eighth notes in. They have a double thing. They have a double beat in there. So that's how you would clap that. Why don't we take another example? Let's clap this, okay? If you want, you can pause the video and you can try it yourself. Okay, pause the video. Okay, now we've come back. Now let's try together. Okay, so this is in 3/4 time, so it's counted 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See how it works? Okay, well, we don't need to spend too much time on that, but basically 4/4 is 4 quarter notes in each bar, and 3/4 would be 3 quarter notes in each bar. Okay, so the bottom number tells you what is the bass note of each bar, and then the top number tells you how many of those bass notes are in each bar. Okay? All right, let's move on. Move on to what's called melody. Okay, so we talked about rhythm. The next part of, a really important part is music is called melody. So if you look at a piano keyboard, one of the great things about piano is that all of the notes are very clearly written on the piano. So the piano is a really good way to understand music. So a lot of composers, even if they're better guitar players or they play other instruments, they can benefit a lot from looking at the piano because they can see all of the notes right in front of them. Whereas when you're just playing a note, it comes from your brain, so you can't really see it as clearly. So the basic part of the piano, if you look, there's 8 notes in every scale, or most scales in every octave, but there are, each octave has 8 tones or 13 semitones. So I'll play this more on the piano next week, but we have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, and then we have the 5 black notes. So there are 8 white notes and 5 black notes in every scale. Okay? Now, the distance between, for example, do to re, if that's do, re, is 1 tone. If there's a black note in between, that's a semitone. So 1 tone has 2 semitones in it. But if you look between mi and fa and si and do, there's no black note in between. So this distance is called a semitone. So C to D is a tone, D to E is a tone, E to F is a semitone. And the order of notes that you play, okay, for example, maybe you can't hear that. Let me turn it up. So that order of notes determines what the scale is, the onkai. So that's very important. We'll talk a little bit more about scales later on in the semester, or even later on in this class. But for now, anyway, just try to remember that there are usually 13 semitones and 8 tones in each modern scale in Western music. All right, let's move on. All right, so now we're going to talk about intervals. We just finished talking about rhythm and how rhythm pushes music forward in terms of beats and tempo. Now we're going to talk about intervals and how they're related to melody and harmony. So first of all, we have tones, and tones are musical sounds related to pitch. For example, we could have do, okay, that's do, and that's a tone, okay? But it's also, if we play another tone after that, so, that's an interval of a fifth, because there are 5 spaces between do. Okay, so do, so. No, so those are intervals, okay? So the distance between notes between tones is really important as well. So we can have a melodic interval, which are successive tones, tones one after another, and they make what's called melodies or motifs or phrases. Okay, for example, successive tones one after another would be. Okay, so that's a melody. We just made a melody. I wonder if you know that melody. You probably should, because it's from a Ghibli movie. All right. So now we have melodic intervals, but we also have what's called harmonic intervals, and harmonic intervals are tones played together. So we can have tones played at the same time, and that is what's called harmony. So those are examples of harmony, and harmony kind of pushes the music. We'll talk more forward, but we'll talk more about the relationship between melody and harmony later. But what you need to know is that the combination of melodic tones and harmonic intervals together make music. So, we don't just hear one melody, we'll hear like melodies together. So you might hear it's very simple. It's very simple, but you can see it's a combination of melody with other notes together, which make harmony. Okay? All right. And harmonic intervals, of course, make chords and chord progressions, which again we're going to talk about in more detail later. Okay, so about melodic intervals. So we have the treble clef, which is at the top. We have what's called the bass clef at the bottom, and we have different voices. Soprano, alto are usually in the higher voices. This is used for singing, and tenor and bass. So they're usually, in most music, there are 4 voices in terms of the register of tones. That's just because the vocal range is such that you're limited in terms of the human voice to how far up you can go or how far down you go. So basically, it can be divided into 4 parts: bass, tenor, alto, soprano. And those are different ranges of pitches on the keyboard and in the vocal range. So a lot of modal music is based on different patterns or modes within a scale. Remember I talked about different scales? So Japanese music would be based on the pentatonic or 5-note scale, which would be okay, so you can say it's based on 5 notes, but that's kind of old style music, and the music that mostly we're going to be talking about is what's called tonal music, which is it has a center, and they're major and minor scales. So each scale has a tonal center, and it was the development of these major and minor scales. There were lots of different modes historically, but eventually they all kind of boiled down to major and minor scales with one tonal center. And again, I'm giving you a general overview of this now, but because it's the most common music in Western music. But don't worry about it. We're going to talk about this in much more detail later on in the semester once we go through the development of music in history. All right, so melodic intervals, as I said, they're coming one after another, and if they're done in a certain order, we have what's called a major scale. So if you look at the keyboard here with the treble clef, the distance between the tones, do to re is one tone, re to mi is a tone, and mi to fa is a semitone, and fa to so is a tone, so to la is a tone, la to si is a tone, and si to do is a semitone. So this order of notes for a major scale is very important. Whatever note you start on, if the order of notes is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, then you have what's called a major scale. And major scales sound very happy. Okay, so major scales sound kind of happy. And then we can have happy, lively. And then we have minor scales, okay? And minor scales is a different order of tones and semitones. So minor scales, the first tone, it's tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. Now, it sounds kind of hard to understand, but it's really, really important in music to understand the difference between minor and major scales. Major scales are happy and lively. Minor scales could be sad or angry. So, for example, if I change the that happy, lively piece, and I put it to a minor scale, okay, so it changes it to a much darker kind of sound, okay? All right, so now let's move on to harmonic intervals. We talked earlier about melodic intervals, and now let's talk about a little bit more about harmonic intervals. So harmonics, every note contains softer overtones. So the strongest overtones of every note are the fifth note above, and the second strongest are the third note above. Now this is kind of frequency science, and it's not really that important to remember, other than the fact that fifths and thirds above notes often sound good together because they're very similar. They contain similar frequencies. So that's how chords are made. So when you build a chord on the piano, you can see here, chords are often coming, the third and the fifth note above a note makes a nice sounding major chord. So you have the G, you know, Sol, Si, Re, and then together, that's a chord. Okay? And so thirds and fifths sound good because the frequencies are related, which makes what's called a triad or a chord. Okay? And chord progressions, as I told you earlier, they're the building blocks of music. They you know, the movement of chords tells the story. So you can see. Okay, you can see how it's pushing the music forward. Okay. And these are chord progressions. These are what's called chord progressions. Now, music. There's also musical endings. Cadences are referring to musical conclusions. It's how music tends to end. Okay, earlier I played those chords, but I didn't end it. And people so as I said, music starts on a certain note and it tends to end on that note. Okay, so and the musical endings or conclusions are called cadences. So a 5/1 cadence would be. It starts on Do, and then it goes Amen. But then we can have what's called a plagal cadence, which is a 4/1, the fourth note to the first note. So that we can go, okay? Okay, so we go, and that's what's called, it sounds like it's finished, but it went from a 4 to a 1. Or you can go, that's a perfect cadence, which has a little bit more of a final sense to it. But then we can also have what's called a deceptive cadence, which means it's not really ending, so we can go, and then it ends. You think we're going to end, but it doesn't. It kind of doesn't end. Okay, so these are cadences, and they're musical endings. So we have chord progressions, and then we start at a certain note, and the chords progress, they tell the story, and then at some point, we want to end that story, and they're ended through what's called cadences. All right, so as a review, we have harmony. Okay, the important points about harmony in music are, well, what do you have to remember? Well, music is made from common patterns, okay, these chord progressions. Chord progressions provide what's called tension, okay? We start at a note. Okay, this is where we start, and then I go. And then we want to hear it. There's tension, and your ear wants to hear it end. So, and that's what's called a cadence, because a cadence provides resolution. So, and that would be a deceptive cadence, or, and that would be a plagal cadence. And then a perfect cadence would be like I did in the beginning. Cadences provide resolution, and you feel better. So that's basically the structure of music, okay, with harmony. Okay, so here's a summary of Unit 1. Okay, when you listen to music, I think you have a consciously, I think a lot of people listen to music and they're unconscious to say I like it or I don't like it. And what I'm trying to do in this class is get you to be a little bit more conscious about music to understand why you like it. So the next time you listen to music, a song that you like, try to think, what are the instruments? Okay? Are there any distinct rhythmic patterns in the music? How many voices are there? Who's singing? Okay? How many instruments are playing? How does the melody complement the harmony? And then finally, I think the most important thing is, what is the purpose of this music? Is it to make me feel happy or sad? Is it to tell me a story? And then how does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? And by doing and analyzing music in this way, I think you'll get a better understanding of why you like music or why you don't like music. So we're bringing a lot of what's coming from your unconscious back to into your consciousness. Okay, that's it for today for the lesson. Thank you very much. Next week we will be in room 280 on Monday, second period. So please come, and I'll be giving you a test. So please listen to this video. If you need to listen to it more than once or pause a few times, that's fine. And then we'll go through this again next week, and we'll do some prints to make sure that you understand it. So don't worry if you didn't understand everything, and remember to please bring your notebook for next week, because we're going to be taking more notes next week as well. All right, I'm really looking forward to teaching you. If you have any comments, I'll put comment papers up as well. So if you want to write in your comment papers for this and say, hey Ted, thank you for the video, or the video was too fast, or I didn't understand anything, or maybe my English isn't good enough. Of course it's good enough. Don't worry. The other thing I want to tell you is this class is for everybody. Okay, so if your English is, if you don't have confidence in your English, then you just have to try a little bit harder. And maybe you have to listen to the video more than once, or you have to look at your notes more. But, if your English is good and you're confident, then maybe you only have to listen to it once. But everyone is welcome to this course. All right? So I look forward to teaching you and to getting to know you through the course content and through the comment papers. Thank you, and see you next week.